Yo, 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 yo. Back. We back. On the way to work with it. Make sure I hit that like button, yo. If you catch the video on the replay, hit the like button. Mandatory. I know where I'm headed. On the way to work. As usual. You know what I mean? What's up, Shalon? How you feeling? We gotta talk about Rock Nation shady business practices, man. So the people, it's starting to accumulate. But they already send me orders. God dang. The people that got issues with Rock Nation is starting to accumulate, man. The numbers is growing. Then we gotta talk about. I gotta go back to that video last night, that Tisa Tell video. I forgot. I'm like jumping on this bitch. Talking about Diddy and Epstein was close friends with no proof, no none of that, but just make a wild ass statement. Try to connect Diddy's situation to Epstein. This girl is crazy, man. She wonder why everybody say she lying. I only want to watch a couple minutes of her shit, probably like 5 minutes. Then we gonna go to the Rock Nation shit. And numbers like a motherfucker, man. Damn. It is what it is. Tripping. We ain't need tripping here. So yeah, so we gotta go back to that video from last night. Got like the first couple minutes, man. Yo, because these connections that dead people was trying to connect Diddy to Epstein, that is egregious work. Like I don't think, and I say this every time I think we talk about y'all. Yo, you can't compare nobody to Epstein. Like she basically was sex capades with his girl. My bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. You know, every time I leave the house, that took off. Yeah, but she just making wild allegations on this guy, yo. Like this shit is it's out of control for real. Shit. Oh y'all. Yo, that noise be the egg conditioner, y'all, because we had this shit in the car, y'all. Blowing the window down don't work. It's hot outside. Alright, but listen to this though, y'all. We only gotta listen to the first couple minutes.
Oh my God, you guys come and sit down and shut the door. Warren Comey has been fired. I repeat, Warren Comey has been fired. This is the same girl for the Diddy trial, the same girl for Epstein, and the same girl for the same Maxwell. Now listen, we gotta talk. I have never been one for deep state. Y'all know I like to talk mess, but I've never been one for deep state. But you guys, what is going on? She was fired, but not for the reason you think. We're going to go through all the articles. We're going to figure out what's going on. But let me just say this. And I'm just going to say it. This makes me actually believe that this Diddy trial was a setup. Now, hear me out. I know there's a lot of people that weren't in the courtroom.
The Diddy trial was a setup. Yo, ain't no way she just came to that conclusion. Yo, there's no way. that she just can't. Diddy trial was a setup since the beginning. Now she did all this slander, and then she's still gonna slander. Like even with her saying this is set up, the slander doesn't stop. You know, the slander continues. Damn near shit. A lot of people knew that that shit was a play. A lot of people knew it was a setup. A lot of people knew the charges was trumped up. It was in documents. But she chose to ignore all of those things.
I know there's a lot of people that read the inner city press, his live tweeting. I know there's a lot of people that follow the law. But let me tell you something. I was in the courtroom for 7 or 8 weeks. And there were dumb people. He's alive, he's alive. Because I gave y'all my opinion of.
No, she lied. Romeo, what it is? She lied. She no good guy. She still lying.
What I saw and heard. But let me tell you this. I saw, and I'm just putting it out there, and this goes into my larger theory. I saw the passion Maureen Comey put into her arguments. She was the best prosecutor out there. She literally put her heart and soul into those arguments. At one time, she just looked like she was about to break into tears. When I tell you this was personal for her, it was personal. And I don't look at that as a negative thing. I know people, he says, hey, why are you taking it so personal? What is wrong with y'all that the world is burning and y'all want to play it cool? This is not the time to play it cool. Rome is burning, and if nobody told you.
Now she acting like she on the side of righteousness. This girl funny as shit. She was not on the side of righteousness, Tisa. Come on now. If you was on the side of righteousness, you would have called out the bullshit in the Diddy trial from the beginning, man.
Rome is burning. And you are not Nero watching it burn. You are Nero sitting there in gasoline draws. We all need to be concerned that the world's burning. But hear me out. Maureen Comey put her heart and soul into those arguments. So when people said, oh, I think that she threw the case, she's James Comey's daughter, I said, maybe. But it might not have come across in the tweets.
Yo, that lady didn't throw no motherfucking case, man. That lady tried hard as shit to convict Diddy. It just, the evidence didn't back it up. And man, you can't convict people if the evidence is lacking. Like, I don't even know who the fuck said that. The lady ain't throw no case. If you heard that case, she was trying hard as shit to convince the jurors that the Diddy was a sex trafficker. And man, that these people were victims of sex trafficking. She ain't throw no motherfucking case, man. Like, yo, this is what she do, yo. She just be talking. You know what I mean? A lot of people do that. They get on the internet and they just be talking. They ain't really got nothing to say for real. Just words with really no meaning.
Tweets, it might not have come across, but in person, if you were in the courtroom, you felt her passion. You felt it was personal. So I always was like, I don't think she's actually going to I don't think she's throwing the case. Now, what I will say is, I thought they ran out of money. When Damian Williams was the head of Southern District of New York, let me just.
Now, we talked about that shit last night. Yo, she said the federal government ran out of money. She said they ran out of money, yo. Like, yo, if that ain't the dumbest shit I done heard in the last couple weeks. They ran out of money. But listen to the reason why she said they ran out of money. Fucking ran out of money.
Let me just say this. I'll be quick, and then we're going to get into articles, and I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. Damian Williams was head of Southern District of New York when the Diddy investigation started. He was the one that authorized the raid. He was the one that flew special teams over to London. I heard they were maybe planning on going to Belize. They was ready to take Diddy down. And then what happened? Think about it. What happened? When did the case slow down? When did the case lose funding? When did they start taking people off of the case? Because you need a lot of resources to take people down for a RICO case. When did that happen? Think back. And this might make some people upset, but I'm asking you to just withhold judgment until I get through the end of the point. When did that stop? I'll tell you when it stopped. Trump out of the blue, said, I don't think Damian Williams is doing a good job. The biggest case of Damian's career was Diddy. They were flying overseas to take that man down. This was going to be an epic RICO.
Yo, where is she getting this information from? Like, yo, she literally just be making shit up and then wonder why people call her a lot. She said it was gonna be an epic RICO. Like, now she's trying to make it seem like Diddy was running some sex trafficking ring on a level of Epstein. With no proof though. No facts. No paperwork. Just her talking. Just her talking, man.
RICO's case. Trump then said he was going to fire. And if you're MAGA, just let me finish. Okay? Let me finish. Because there's a connection. And yes, it has to do with the Epstein thing. The way Trump's handled Epstein. And the way Trump handled the same Maxwell. And I swear to God, if Trump ends up pardoning just saying Maxwell.
You're still purchasing your lenses from your optometrist.
What are you doing? Come on.
Walk with me.
Yo, who the fuck said Trump was part of Ghislaine Maxwell? More information that she's just talking. Nobody ever said that. There hasn't been no rumors of that or nothing. Just talking.
Just say Maxwell, we're going to have an issue. So listen. All of a sudden, Trump says, I don't think Damian Williams is doing a good job. Damian Williams, all of a sudden, he starts like fighting with the Trump administration. Trump then tells Damian Williams and everyone that effective immediately, he's going to let him go in a little bit and hire his guy. It was a literal start date. Damian Williams resigned before.
Yo, Trump did that because Trump was weaponized. The federal government was weaponized against him. That's why he did that. Ain't got shit to do with no Epstein. Trump made it clear when he first got elected, yo, that he wanted to clean up the shit that was going on with the feds, based off of how they handled his whole case. Now I mean, Trump on some bullshit right now, but originally, that's what that shit was about. The weaponizing of the federal government. He must didn't know that can happen at the time. You know what I mean? He must thought the system was a justice system instead of a rigged system.
Start date. Damian Williams resigned before his firing date. Trump put his guy in the Department of Justice. Department of Justice. And the Senate has a new head of the Southern District of New York. And then all of a sudden, the Diddy case slows down. The Diddy case gets stalled. The Diddy case loses funding. Coincidence? Maybe. But now that we see what happened with the Epstein list and the way they're saying that the Epstein list never existed and we're being stupid and we should just move over. And now that Pam Bondi, who's being dragged left and right, looks like she leaked to Politico that Maureen Comey was being fired, I have to really ask, what is going on? There are too many things. On top of that, to say Maxwell said she's testifying in front of Congress over what really happened with Jeffrey Epstein, and think about it. They're saying Jeffrey Epstein didn't have a list. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. Okay, an innocent man offed himself, right? The Justice Department released a video that 24 hours ago had a minute missing, and now it has 3.5 minutes missing of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide, right? All this stuff is going on, and the Justice Department, and you thought, and I kept thinking, yo, I think they're
Yo, you two, you played a dirty ass game. Yo, she is seriously misrepresenting the facts. I knew they was gonna mess the live up to everybody left. Yo, but she is seriously misrepresenting the facts of the situation. Intentionally, though. She's intentionally misrepresenting the facts. Yeah, Black Mom. So that's what the fuck she doing.
Listen, because what does this have to do? Who said this? The crash out report said it has to do with Epstein and trying to please MAGA. But here's the thing: I don't think that he's trying to please MAGA anymore. He is on MAGA's ish list. MAGA is sick of Trump right now.
The summer sales event is going on now at Hog Volkswagen Monroeville. Take advantage
right now. I think Trump is just trying, and his people around him, there's something bad going on. Because also Pam Bondi thing, Diddy and Epstein were super tight. I've always maintained that I think Diddy looked at what Epstein was doing and was like, yo, I can do this better and do it cooler. There's a tie.
Yo, where the fuck did she get that information from? Like, yo, how can you make such an outrageous claim with no proof? Yo, is there any pictures? And that's all I wanted to, let me see what else she said.
Between Diddy and Epstein. It's just striking us odd right now. I think Trump is just trying, and his people around him, there's something bad going on. Because also with the Pam Bondi thing, Diddy and Epstein were super tight. I've always maintained that I think Diddy looked at what Epstein was doing and was like, yo, I can do this better and do it cooler. There's a tie between Diddy and Epstein.
Yo, where's the proof? Like, yo, why have people keep trying to connect Diddy to Epstein? Like, yo, Epstein is on his own island. I mean, Epstein Island. You know what I mean? Yo, you can't really compare the allegations that was placed on Epstein. I don't think we heard nothing like that shit, and I don't know when the last time we heard anything remarkably close to Epstein. But she sit there and try to make this connection between Diddy and Epstein. They was close friends, and yo, we don't see no pictures. Google a picture with Diddy hanging with Epstein, and you weren't gonna find one because I looked before. So why the fuck she keep trying to make this fucking connection and make it seem like they was friends? Even went as far as to say that Diddy looked at what Epstein did and said, I can do it better. yo, she said that Diddy looked at Epstein was trafficking kids. Diddy was having freak offs with his girlfriends. Like, yo, how is that even the same, yo? What's up, what it is? Yo, that is nowhere near the same. Nowhere near the same. And she keep talking about, yo, people saying I'm lying. Yo, you are lying. Yo, that is not your opinion. That is a blatant lie. Blatant lie. Your opinion's got to be based in something. You know what I mean? Like, yo, that's the problem with YouTube. That's the problem with the world. Everybody got an opinion, but it ain't based in no truth. It ain't based in facts. It ain't based in, it's just an opinion. Like, I'm about sick of pointless opinions, man. That ain't no opinion, T. That's a fucking lie. To sit there and say that Diddy and Epstein was close and Diddy was one of the reinvent what Epstein created, trafficking children, is crazy, yo. Especially considering the fact that there ain't no kids in Diddy case. But I just wanted to say that. That's all. That's the only part I really wanted y'all to hear. Just the blatant lies and falsehoods that this girl was over there telling her people. Got them really believing that Diddy and Epstein is somehow connected, or somehow even in the same stratosphere with the things that they did. Shit is crazy. Diddy and Epstein was close friends. Diddy wanted to copy Epstein. Yo, but I also wanted to talk about this, man. Rock Nation, man. Yo, so Nicki Minaj has been going in on Rock Nation for the longest time. And now you got Colin Kaepernick girlfriend speaking out about Jay-Z and Rock Nation's shady business practices. Like, Rock Nation presents themselves like the savior of the black community, and they use Jay-Z's name to lure in black artists who just gain notoriety or gain publicity based off of Jay-Z name. Yeah, but Rock Nation been doing a lot of shady shit, man. What's up, Rob? Rock Nation has been doing a lot of shady shit. So, Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend, I don't even know her name, Insanity, exposed Rock Nation taxes against Nicki Minaj and ex-NFL player Colin Kaepernick. So, Nessa, that's her name. So, she added Nicki Minaj, exposing the smear campaign tactics that Jay-Z, Rock Nation, and Desiree Perez did to her behind the scenes. It's very similar to what I was told they did to Colin Kaepernick, when Jay purposely co-opted Colin's protest by siding with the NFL to help their image after they blackballed Colin for his protest. I called them all out years ago, and so many people were scared to say it publicly, but would tell me how they agreed with me privately. Shaking my head. Rock Nation apparently took $5 million a year over 5 years to bury the growing protests, and specifically help them move beyond the controversy around teams' unwillingness to sign Colin Kaepernick. Desiree Perez even said, "We love that everybody wants to be on the stage, that we've completely changed the conversation to fighting for it versus boycotting. We've came a long way." She got her own pardon by Trump. No coincidence. The NFL owners are his buddies. Bitch, fuck y'all know, punk ass nigga. But yeah, but that ain't the only thing they did, y'all. Nicki Minaj, we talking. I'm ready to pull over real quick so I can read this Nicki Minaj shit. So Nicki Minaj also had some things to say. Oh man, I ain't even save it. God damn it. There you go. So somebody posted a picture of everybody Nicki Minaj been beefing with over the years, right? Nicki Minaj's reply was, "Do another one for every rapper who says they were blackballed or worse due to these weak people who stand behind badges in order to steal money from people allegedly. Do another one for every artist they allegedly stole from other companies by way of unethical business practices. Do another for every company Jay-Z, with his 55-year-old and his insecure ass, sits on the board of, and how it could be a conflict of interest. Do another for all the things Desiree Perez is accused of doing to her daughter. Do another for every blog who didn't post about Desiree Perez's daughter or Jay-Z paternity test stuff, but posted seemingly all at the exact same time about anything they thought could hurt many other people's families." Yo, Nicki Minaj has been on them niggas hard. And I fucks with it. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all know I fucks with the underdog. But somebody did a video, The Dark Side of Rock Nation.
And with her husband, OG Juan Perez.
I don't know the name of it. But he did a video explaining some of these shady businesses. Yeah, they've been doing, look what they did to Carl Crawford. Remember they stole Megan Thee Stallion from Carl Crawford. They did that shit to a lot of people, man. They be still like that. They ain't doing nothing different than any other record label. But they try to paint themselves like, we the adverse to the industry. We the ones that's gonna make sure artists is good. And they probably do to a certain extent, but they fuck a lot of people over, man. A lot of people get fucked over by Rock Nation. Bobby Shmurda just was talking about it.
What's poppin', yo? In 2018, on Drake's Talk Up track on his Scorpion album, Jay-Z would rap, "I'm what Meech been, I'm what Supreme didn't become. If Alpo didn't snitch, niggas would be like Young. I got your president tweeting, I won't even meet with him. Y'all killed X and let Zimmerman live. Streets is done." What if I told you that the Streets was done nearly 2 decades prior, involving Jay-Z himself, and an individual he worked and still works closely with? If you look up Desiree Perez, there's an article on Hits Daily Double in 2016 where they describe her saying, "But after the defection of a string of executives, Tidal has its third CEO, who exactly is orchestrating these 5-star exclusive artist plays. Sources behind the scenes say that person is Desiree Perez, a trusted close associate of Jay-Z for nearly 20 years who has a long track record running SC Enterprises, and with her husband, OG Juan Perez, runs Roc Nation Sports as well. Perez is known for being a fiercely tough negotiator and rabid numbers cruncher, and has a history and street rep that even Empire's own Cookie wouldn't challenge. Des is a boss. Simply put, insiders point out that she negotiated the Beyonce Formation Stadium tour and had a strong hand in the Rihanna Samsung deal as well. Impressive. Perez is part of the Hova circle of influence that includes her husband, Jay Brown, Ty Ty Smith, Shaka Pilgrim, and Jana Fleischman. This is the collective running the entire operation of not just Roc Nation and its various wings of management, label operations, and publishing, but the forces behind the operation of Tidal itself. There are a couple of missing pieces to the full bio of Desiree Perez, and I don't know if you really want to say street rep, but I've been eyeing on making this video for the past 2 or 3 weeks until 6ix9ine had to come out and really bring to a larger scale the reports that Desiree Perez, who's the current CEO of Roc Nation, was a government mole and informant back in the mid-90s. This isn't some new information, but it is the biggest scale it's ever blown up on, especially within hip-hop. In a Daily News article from 2014 is when I first remember it being revealed. And the article wasn't even about anything music related. It was about Alex Rodriguez's suspension from Major League Baseball due to doping, and how Desiree Perez was advising him through what to do afterwards. The headline of the article was, Alex Rodriguez was set to quit baseball until a drug mole and ex-convict Desiree Perez convinced the Yankees slugger to fight MLB over PED suspension. In the article, it talks about how A-Rod was considering retiring and cutting a settlement deal with the MLB so he could just go away quietly after being caught through a test. He spoke with the president of the Yankees to explore an exit strategy, but he told him that his problem was with the MLB, not the Yankees. And Desiree Perez came in and forced him back on the team, according to a source. When Levine declined, telling Rodriguez that his problem was with MLB and not the team, Perez confronted A-Rod with demands to return to the field, according to one source familiar with the strategy. This is when Desiree Perez hijacked the process and forced him back on the team, the source said. At one point, after Rodriguez missed a minor league
Yo, how the fuck did she got so much goddamn power, man? You know what I mean? It's like, how do Desiree Perez have so much power and influence? Make you question the whole Roc Nation and how that shit was built and what it's really about. Yo, because she can make mountains move. You heard me? Like, yo, but what it is? Yo, Desiree Perez, and we heard that based off the lawsuit. She out here getting people booked. Man, Desiree Perez got some power, man. That's a lot of power to be a former motherfucking drug kingpin that turned rat. And she connected to Jay-Z. It's a little strange, man.
Rehab game because of a tight quad, and the Yankees asked him to return to New York for an MRI. Perez helped locate a doctor to review the test and find there was no strain, according to the source. The plan backfired when SNY and the News reported that the orthopedist, Dr. Michael Gross, had been disciplined by the New Jersey State Board of Medical Examiners for failing to adequately ensure proper patient treatment involving the prescribing hormones, including steroids. This was her ploy to expose the Yankees and take retirement out of Alex's hands, the source said. She thought she had a gotcha moment when Gross said the MRI didn't indicate a strain. Despite the goof, A-Rod was apparently still taking Perez's advice on August 2nd, after smacking a home run in Trenton during his minor league rehab assignment.
So A-Rod must have signed the Roc Nation. Yeah, for real.
Rodriguez told the media that the Yankees and MLB were conspiring to push him out of baseball. I think that's the pink elephant in the room, said Rodriguez, claiming people are finding creative ways to cancel his contract. Rodriguez's attorneys knew immediately that his attack would derail the diplomacy required for a settlement. A day later, overtures from the Rodriguez camp were rebuffed by baseball officials. Desiree Perez was basically trying to go around the MLB to try and get Alex Rodriguez back on the field. This is clearly not a good idea when you've been busted for performance-enhancing drugs and trying to negotiate a settlement deal with the MLB themselves for your multi-million-dollar contract. So how did following Perez's advice work out for A-Rod in this situation? 2 days later, Commissioner Bud Selig hit Rodriguez with a 211-game ban. They wanted to embarrass the Yankees, one source said. It cost them money. That dynamic. That is why Desiree Perez gave an ultimatum to A-Rod. That is why they wanted the Yankees to play him. The result was an all-out assault on the Yankees, MLB and Selig, Bosch, the Yankees' doctor, the arbitrator that would hear Rodriguez appeal the suspension, the media, and anyone else that got in the way. At one point, A-Rod's supporters showed up at his arbitration hearing on Park Avenue with signs comparing Levine to the devil. There were accusations denied by Levine that his contract for a bonus if he could get the Yankees out from A-Rod's massive deal. Scratch the commissioner's eyes out and kick the Yankees in the shin is how Rodriguez lawyer David Cornwell, speaking at Villanova Sports Law Symposium, described the strategy that led to Rodriguez's suspension for the entire 2014 season. Nothing was more important than the effort to smear, intimidate, and outspend Bosch. Discrediting the witness who knew the most about A-Rod's doping was a top priority, and the best ammunition was to call him out for having been forced to cooperate with authorities. Bosch had his back against the wall and had no chance but to flip against his friend. It was a position Perez knew all too well. Taking Desiree Perez's advice got him the longest suspension in the history of Major League Baseball and the loss of over $20 million in base salary for that 2014 season. The Bosch that they're referring to is Anthony Bosch, who was the owner of Biogenesis. That was a massive scandal. It was basically anti-aging clinic, but it really applied performance-enhancing drugs to not only professional baseball players, but anybody that wanted it. He himself was under fire after a 2013 article in the Miami New Times, where a former employee gave them documents that showed a massive list of professional athletes who were clients, like Ryan Braun, Nelson Cruz, and of course, Alex Rodriguez. But the paper didn't want to give the proof to MLB. And what happened was that both the MLB and the Florida Department of Health took legal action against Anthony Bosch in order to get them to basically tell the people he worked with. And he agreed to work with them to have his name removed from the lawsuit. And in the end, he pled guilty to one charge of conspiracy to distribute testosterone. And he got sentenced to 4 years. But they cut his sentence down by 6 months for his cooperation with the MLB and giving them all the decoded nicknames they had, the messages explaining everything they needed. And this was the same period of time Desiree Perez was starting Rock Nation Sports. But let's get into what the article says about her snitching. It says, but multiple sources told the Daily News that A-Rod's last chance for a dignified exit ended when he turned to Desiree Perez, a Manhattan nightclub manager with a lengthy criminal record and close links to hip-hop mogul Jay-Z. While Perez is not an employee, officer, or agent of Jay-Z's new agency, Rock Nation Sports, sources say she is a major behind-the-scenes influence. She's directly involved with the athletes, one Baseball Insider said. She has a lot of power. Perez is also a convicted felon, with a long and wild history as a DEA cooperating witness and then a fugitive. She wore wires to meet with major cocaine traffickers, according to federal court transcripts obtained by the Daily News. Perez declined numerous interview requests and did not respond to questions submitted to her attorneys about her past. If you never heard about this, it's sort of like getting hit so hard your head is just spinning. Your entire reality shakes up a bit. You get dizzy vision. How the hell is Jay-Z so close with an individual like this that is reported to have broken one of the most sacred codes?
Yo, she sound like she's still a Fed 8, to be honest. That's what the fuck she sound like for real. Sound like Desiree Perez, still working with the feds, man. We talked about Melly the other day, yo. Melly, they doing Melly dirty, man. I mean, well, at least his trial date ain't changed.
It's that Jay-Z claims he holds. Dame Dash was even frightened by it. In an interview with Sway, he said, "This is the one time that the paper did scare me. I read about his affiliation with an informant, that he's in business with certain people. It's tricky for me to say, but just based on where I'm from, I can't have nothing to do with that. There's no more business being done with me and him until I understand the situation." And court records were obtained by the newspaper, and they said as follows: Perez was a 26-year-old mother of young children in 1994 when she was arrested in New York for possession with intent to distribute 35 kilograms of cocaine, according to court records reviewed by the news. Federal authorities charged she was part of a drug conspiracy stretching from New York to Florida to Puerto Rico. She and co-defendant Amari Lopez faced at least 10 years in prison. Lopez was supposedly one of at least 3 men to marry Perez since the late 1980s. But Perez cooperated in return for telling the DEA everything and putting herself at substantial risk, as one prosecutor put it. She was sentenced to 30 months in a military-style boot camp program in 1995. Basically, they sent her to the adult version of the girls.
30 months? 30? She got caught with 35 keys and got sentenced to 30 months. God damn. Like 2.5 years? Surely. I ain't never really know the details of her cooperation. God damn. She must have done a whole bunch of time.
Gaps. Many of the records in Perez's case were sealed soon after her arrest.
I bet it was.
But one transcript from a June 11th, 1996 court hearing obtained by the news showed the feds were pleased with their star mole. The defendant has really worked closely with these agents, Assistant U.S. Attorney Lawrence Bardfeld told the judge that day, arguing to keep Perez out of jail. Miami-based defense attorney Alan Ross told the judge that his client wore a wire on no less than the 4 or 5 occasions when she's been down there in Puerto Rico. And I think the court knows from its experience that you just can't do anything more dangerous than wear a wire and go into an undercover meeting in Puerto Rico with a known violator, one who's suspected of or being investigated for a murder case down there. The transcript describes how a mutual regard and respect developed between Perez and the DEA special agent she worked with to bust Colombians moving cocaine shipments of 50 to 100 kilograms.
Dang.
She has gone the extra mile, an extra gold star, said Ross, adding that he believed the defendant was fully rehabilitated. Perez was released that July and placed on 5 years of supervised release. She began working at night spots in Miami Beach and was scheduled to meet her probation officer at one of them, Club Onyx, when she skipped town without notice in early August 1997. The fugitive resurfaced 9 months later in Brooklyn, where she was arrested on March. Larceny, drug paraphernalia, criminal possession of a firearm. Her probation was revoked, and she was sentenced to 9 months in prison.
9
Just
months?
9 months?
God damn.
And 3 years of supervised release. Oh, they cut her a pretty nice.
She told again. Jesus Christ. This girl died by. We talking about Tammy Kyle was big meat. Hell no. She was a whole nother level.
Deal. DEA special agent from the case, contacted by the news, declined to comment. Isn't that one hell of a story? In the excerpt, it talks about a bunch of her marriages, which I don't think a single one of them you could say is normal. The first man she got married to was Joel Noso in 1988, and she had 2 children with him. And their marriage ended with his death in 1995, when he died in a parachuting accident on Long Island, I should say. This information was brought in a separate New York Post article from August of 2004. The topic of the article is Desiree wanted to get married, but she went to get the license, and they said she was already married to 2 other individuals.
Damn.
And she said she had no idea who the hell they were. What made me scratch my head, though, is that Amari Gonzalez, as we saw earlier, was her co-defendant in that case. And this is the guy she was doing the
That's what nigga need to look up his paperwork. His paperwork probably tell you the details of her cooperation, since that shit's sealed.
with in 1994, while she was married to her original husband, a year before her husband died. And it's also the same guy she married in 1998, 3 years after her husband died of a parachuting accident. Because the majority of these articles back then referred to her as Desiree Gonzalez, not Desiree Perez, because she was married to Amari Gonzalez. I just found it really odd that the guy she was doing crime with while married to her husband, and then her husband dies a year later, and she marries that same guy, according to the article, 3 years later. Moving forward, though, she was trying to get married in 2004. At the clerk's office, Gonzalez was told she was also married to 2 other men, but the clerk wouldn't tell her who. Gonzalez got Colbert involved, and he learned that the other grooms were a man named Guillermo Gutierrez and another named Hector Saldarriaga. Two people Gonzalez didn't know. A private investigator was hired to find the men the judge refers to as the phantom husbands. But the addresses listed on the license were phonies, as were Gonzalez's address and signature on the forms, Colbert said. The city said it couldn't void the marriages without the phantom husbands, and then questioned whether Gonzalez's divorce filings and her late husband's death certificate were authentic. Gonzalez declined comment and would not identify her fiancé. She got a lawyer and managed to get it resolved. And as we can see, a recurring theme is that Desiree does not like speaking to reporters or the media ever. I can't really blame her. We know who her fiancé is now, and it was Juan Perez, also known as OG Juan, who was a close friend of Jay-Z since 1996. But these are some really weird situations that Desiree Perez coincidentally keeps just falling into. But what isn't a coincidence is the poor business practices that were reported in the 2000s when she was part owner of Jay-Z's club named 4040. In 2002, the liquor license was listed under Desiree's father's name, Epifanio Gonzalez from the Bronx, as president, director, and 50% stockholder, with Jay-Z as the other 50%. Things just went smooth sailing from there, right? I mean, she had the whole marriage issue, she served a couple of months of time when she ran away after having allegedly helped the DEA take down cartels in Puerto Rico and Colombia. It was time for no problems, a new life. Like the DEA said, fully rehabilitated.
Yo, you can't even, how the fuck you even trust this girl? I mean, yo, you can't trust nobody moving around like that. She going backstab Jay-Z for it's all said and done. Watch. I guarantee you, for it's all said and done, she fucking gonna walk away owning Rock Nation. Yeah, she gonna find a way to motherfucking steal Rock Nation from Jay-Z. It's gonna be his fucking fault. And I'm gonna report on it. And I'm gonna laugh at him. That's the fuck you get for fucking with somebody this goddamn cutthroat and conniving.
Well, not quite. 2003 was littered with lawsuits for the club that she was running by contractors who said they weren't paid, and here's the proof. On her screen is a document sent to Desiree Gonzalez, and it says, action for goods sold and delivered having the agreed price and reasonable value of $18,528.80, no part of which has been paid, except the sum of $5,420, by reason of which a balance of $13,108 remains due and unpaid. Action on a check returned for insufficient funds in the sum of $7,000. What happened was Ronald Mark Associates were supposed to be paid $18,000 to manufacture about 30 tables for the club. After they received the $5,000 down payment, they did the work and the company asked for the rest, like right before the club was about to open. And the club stalled for a week, and then they sent them a check for only half of the $13,000, a little more than half, that they still owed, but the check ended up bouncing. Club employees have since ducked phone calls, said Leslie Satz, Ronald Mark's chief executive. No one's done what these guys did. They played off the Jay-Z name and reputation and then tried to bully us, Satz said. My theory is that because of who he is, they think you'll feel blessed to have your stuff there. That's not the only one. On your screen now is papers filed on behalf of the Ameribuild Construction Management Company. At number 6, ACM provided construction management services and materials, including but not limited to lumber and drywall, to 21s from January 7th, 2003 through February 25th, 2003, for use by 21s on a construction project at the premises. The construction management services and materials provided to 21s had an agreed on and reasonable value of $8,000, $114.59, for which ACM has not been paid. Despite 21s has failed and refused to pay said sum. As a result of the foregoing, ACM is entitled to a judgment against 21s for $8,114.59 plus interest from February 25th, 2003. So these guys supplied lumber and drywall to the club, and they also received a check in February for the amount of $8,145, but that check ended up bouncing too. And then they were told it's just an accounting thing. And of course, they didn't end up getting another payment before they filed suit. It wasn't just regular companies that were receiving checks that couldn't be cashed from the club Desiree Perez was running. It was also the state liquor authority. They gave them a check that bounced for $8,914 when they were applying for a liquor license. In the article, it says, making matters worse, the club ignored an SLA notice regarding the rubber check wrap.
These
which
motherfuckers
led to
dirty.
its application initially being rejected. State records show that Jay-Z, real name Sean Carter, is equal partners in the 40/40 Club with one Epifanio Gonzalez, a 67-year-old Bronx man. When contacted Thursday afternoon, 40/40 Club manager Desiree Gonzalez announced, "I don't speak to reporters," before hanging up on TSG. This is also the document sent by the State of New York Division of Alcoholic Beverage Control to their office. "Dear sir or madam, your check for your license drawn on Chase was returned to us because of insufficient funds. This was applied to your license 1134648. Please submit to this office no later than December 20th, 2002, a money order or certified check of $8,914 made payable to the New York State Liquor Authority. The check should be mailed to," and there's the address. Okay, this is terrible business practice. Why do they have insufficient funds when Jay-Z was rolling around filthy rich with commercials, a clothing line, and music? Who knows? But maybe Desiree Perez was just like this with contractors, and maybe the liquor authority. She's probably paying others, right? Well, it sounds like musicians weren't getting paid. On a New York Post article from June 26, 2007, that has also been scrubbed from the internet, but I managed to work around, it says, megastars Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, and more than a dozen music publishers have band together against Jay-Z's 40/40 Club, wrapping the Chelsea hotspot with a federal lawsuit for allegedly skimping on royalties. The popular 40/40 Club, co-owned by Jay-Z and two business partners, has danced around licensing rules to entertain clubgoers with unauthorized public performance of musical compositions, according to a lawsuit filed yesterday in Manhattan Federal Court. Broadcast Music, Inc. led the charge on behalf of Jackson in more than a dozen articles.
I was wondering why the 40/40 Club got shut down. Because back in the day, they made it seem like 40/40 Club was the spot. That bitch was lit. Whole time they playing dirty. They ain't paying niggas. They ain't paying bills.
And music publishing companies seeking unspecified damages for copyright infringement from the club and co-owners Desiree Gonzalez, who has the primary responsibility for operations and management, and Juan Perez. Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, is not named. The Jacksons, Billie Jean and Don't Stop, Thoya Throwing by R. Kelly, and Gold Digger by Kanye West. Kanye West too, man. Ray Charles and Ronald Richard were among 7 unlicensed songs played at the club during a random visit by a BMI researcher on 2 nights in March 2006. Even singer Pharrell Williams, who has frequently collaborated with Jay-Z in the past, was not immune. His song Touch was also played without license. BMI spokesman Jared Bailey said the company holds the licensing rights to 6.5 million songs, roughly half those played in the United States, and has tried unsuccessfully to license the 40/40 Club since it opened in 2003. They said, "Yo, let's license you this music," and the club said, nah, we're not paying for that. The lavish sports bar and lounge on West 25th Street boasts a $4 million multi-level space with dozens of televisions to view sporting events and several private VIP rooms. Michael Shen, a lawyer for the club, said he had not yet seen the lawsuit and declined further comment. Okay. The contractors filed a lawsuit. The Liquor Authority suspended their license until they got their payment. BMI now filed a lawsuit for them not paying music royalties. All that's left is the employees. They gotta be happy, right? Well, no. It doesn't seem like that. On July 2nd, 2008, an article in the New York Post is headlined, "Judge Wraps Jay-Z Club in Lawsuit." A Manhattan judge has paved the way for a class action lawsuit against rapper Jay-Z and his nightclub 40/40, ordering brass to fork over the names of all employees over the last 3 years. The suit was filed in the name of Celeste Williams, a former waitress who claims the hotspot didn't pay overtime or minimum wage. "This is a good day for restaurant workers all over the city," said her lawyer, Mayman Kirschenbaum, who will now try to reach to hundreds of other club workers to see whether they want to join the suit. He said between 10 and 20 past and present 40/40 bartenders, waiters, and other workers are already on board. He doesn't know how much money they are entitled to because he hadn't been able to access 40/40's records completely. Ron Berkowitz, a spokesperson for the Brooklyn-born rapper, said the club is not settling this lawsuit because they are innocent. "We're taking this to court and we're letting the judge decide." Well, damn. You wasn't paying the contractors, the liquor authority, and now they're saying you're not even paying the employees.
They ain't paying nobody.
Not just overtime, but not even minimum wage. But don't worry, it gets better. Because less than a week later, on July 14th, 2008, which is now a deleted webpage, but of course I was able to find a workaround, on the New York Post it said, Desiree Gonzalez, the general manager of 4040, told an employee she would F up his tax life for getting involved in the messy class action lawsuit staffers lodged against the Chelsea club owned by Jay-Z, according to a letter filed in court by the lawyer for the workers. The hot-tempered boss allegedly told another staffer she'd lock him up if he didn't sign a release from the suit, which accuses the club of paying waiters, bartenders, and other staffers below minimum wage. Sheesh. These bullying tactics seem to be the bread and butter of Desiree Perez, because a YouTube channel and website by the name of Hip Hop News Uncensored were doing an interview with DeHaven Irby, who was one of Jay-Z's best friends back then, pretty much his best friend. Grew up on the same floor as him, and a large amount of lyrics on Reasonable Doubt are about him. They say they were pressured to take something down.
How do you feel about Desiree Perez, Rock Nation? You know, there was a obviously, you know, about what went down with the cartels and everything.
Yeah.
We actually did a story. We posted a story on our website, and Rock Nation lawyers sent us an email demanding us to take it down. You know what I mean, about her. Yeah. It's a fact. But how do you feel about that? About Jay-Z appointing her head of Rock Nation, knowing her checkered past with the DEA, FBI, and all that. How do you feel about that?
What else you gonna do? When you working with her, what else you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? She gonna be around. You know what I'm saying? That's what's just like suspicious to me. You know what I mean? Homegirl got a strong position in there, and it's crazy that you know her background and you know what we stand for. So it's just self-explanatory. You know what I'm saying? You working with them, or you got to be working with them. As far as I'm concerned, Rock Nation is run by government. You know what I'm saying? Why would people think the government don't run businesses? You don't think by right now that they got a major rapper that's a snitch, that's an informant?
Oh, yeah.
You don't think in 2020 that they don't have a major rapper that's an informant? Come on, man.
6ix9ine recently spoke on how is Meek Mill, or as the game funnily called him, Mickey Mouse, going to be about this prison reform stuff and calling 6ix9ine a snitch, while he's very close with Desiree Perez, who is said to be involved with wearing a wire to send people to prison. 6ix9ine is, of course, in no position to speak because he read
Yo,
out that.
these motherfuckers dirty, man. Yeah, they should give Nas that position. And he ain't even go into what they did to Carl Crawford. He ain't go into the Tory Lane situation. Like, yo, they got a history of playing dirty. They got a history of playing dirty, man. Fucking people over. And they're using Jay-Z's reputation to do it. They try to present Jay-Z like he got this squeaky clean reputation, yo, but he ain't no different than motherfucking Leo Combs. On the kind of how he took off in the shady business practice. Shit crazy. That's why I stand with Nicki Minaj. A lot of people call Nicki Minaj a hater and all that shit, man. I fuck with Nicki Minaj because ain't nobody else willing to do it. She ain't the only one that see the bullshit. I'm sure she ain't. I'm sure Nicki Minaj is not the only one that see the bullshit that's going on with Rock Nation. But for some reason, everybody's scared to speak. Well, it's obvious the reason, but no, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Yo, fuck shit need to be called out, no matter who doing it. And he did undercut. He did undercut Colin Kaepernick. Look at. For sure, y'all. I'm ready to end this live. Let me know how y'all feel about it in the comments. It's another day. Keep